So I think the overwhelming success of Reservation Dogs can be really chalked up to the fact that it takes a very honest look at some of the issues that affect indigenous cultures today. I know that historically, most stereotypical narratives of Native cultures have either been of two camps. One, we're either brutes, savages, drunkards who are standing in the way of westward expansion, or the other side of that coin is we're the brave warrior or the wise elder or the dedicated environmentalist. And I think that that's the great thing about the Reservation Dogs is it kind of cuts through all those stereotypes.
I've seen on social media that it's helped with a lot of healing for our people because they're seeing our struggles put out there and seeing other people go through it, and it's emotional for a lot of us. And a lot of the scenes and then like where they heal and they laugh, and really great seeing my life, my family's life put on TV as it is for once.
There's so much to love about Reservation Dogs, but I love the fact that it kind of comes in the middle. It's like they expect you to either be smart or to seek out that information. The creators are people who've lived among, in Oklahoma. I mean, Native culture is undeniable here. I mean, sadly, it was largely stolen. And I think Reservation Dogs, in a lot of ways, is taking it back. Right now, these guys, they're the right guys to be telling the story. They're the right characters to be living it. And I think our society is ready to hear it.
And I love the fact as well with Reservation Dogs is they're not afraid to use the capital I, Indian. Because I think we have found more and more with Native American, Indigenous, that we don't use the capital I Indians out of fear of not being politically correct. But I think like how I was raised, I'm Cherokee Indian, and that was how I was raised to say, hey, and that was a proud word to use. It wasn't a word of demeaning or that was meant you were less. So what I love about the Reservation Dogs, it's pioneering, it's new, and it makes us super cool. It makes other people look at us, I think, a little bit differently.
Yeah, the success of Reservation Dogs has been something that has highlighted indigenous culture in a way that hasn't been done in pop culture in a long time. Probably since the 70s, whenever Native American culture kind of grabbed the attention of the U.S. And this is something that's a unique phenomenon. It's uniquely Oklahoman in certain ways, but it's also very much pan-Indian and can reach a lot of different people. So it's a very special show.
It makes me so proud to see Oklahoma represented as well as Native American, especially from a woman's standpoint. There are so many things in there and the humor that I can really relate to, and also some very touching scenes that just really made me cry, to be honest. So it's really a proud moment to see us represented so well and to see us in pop culture.
We all have a commonality, but we're different. Our tribes are different, but we still have a commonality. And it's almost like going to your family. Once you're there, you're just kind of like family. And so that's one thing I've noticed on that set.
I'm so excited. Finally, about time. Oklahoma Indians get recognized. I'm so excited about that. It's just awesome how they finally found Oklahoma. It's about time. Oh, the Prowse Towers. Oh, that's the first day. First time we came to Bartlesville, we went, I bet we visited it every week because we couldn't get enough of it. And then they would have programs down there, and we would go down there and do art things. And the kids would come in. It was so neat. It was so homey.
I think the most important thing that we find with having a unique architecture, this goes back to being indigenous and being, especially like the Reservation Dogs as well, is that they're both pioneering and they're both uniquely different, and which I think that's what makes them cool, and that will make them cool for other people to actually want to go research. They want to go look at what is this? What is it? What makes this uniquely different? Just like the building itself is 90-degree angles. It has its own color. It has all these things that break the rules of the norm. And this was pioneering. It is art. It is aesthetic. It makes people question And I love the fact that when we ask questions, we educate, we learn, we get past maybe some unconscious bias. We take in something different, and we bring our own interpersonal perspectives of how it's okay to be different and that it can be accepted.
You know, I think that you really can't be an Oklahoman if you don't enjoy the outdoors. And I think that Frank Lloyd Wright, he kind of picked up on that because, as he said, the tower is the tree that escaped the crowded forest. But if you really look at the base for making that comment, or as the underlying reason for making that comment, it's how the tower was actually developed. For example, you have the 4 elevator shafts and the concrete base sort of act as the trunk of the tree. You have the 19 levels that act as sort of the branches, and then the patinated copper embellishments that sort of act as leaves or seem reminiscent of that. And I think that that's kind of what he was hoping to do, was to sort of capture that bit of nature that we seem to have here. But I do believe that the great thing about Bartlesville is we always approach art in a way that is non-pretentious, that's not overly ostentatious, and I believe that that building embodies that effort to just have an honest look at nature, but yet be able to have it in an urban setting.
And Frank Lloyd Wright, at the end of the day, was a rebel. His stuff doesn't look like anybody else's stuff. And people to this, there's kids coming up right now that don't even know who he is, that's going to be drawn to him and that building because of that. And I mean, the native tribes and what Sterling and these guys are doing, and Ryan and that, they're the rebels now. I mean, they're carrying that on. It's 150% relevant and 100% in keeping with that. Well, strangely, I grew up here, and strangely, I just thought, so simplistically, I was like, man, that's a cool looking that cool green building. And it wasn't until a little bit later that I found out this is a world-class piece of art that's in the middle of our town. And it really hit me that, like, other little towns don't have this. That's a big deal. I can go down here. When I was a kid, when I was skateboarding in high school and nobody was skating, that's our favorite place to skate, in the shadow of this gorgeous, architecturally brilliant building.
Well, I moved here when I was young, and I didn't know about the Price Tower till I moved here, and I thought it was a beautiful building because I'd never seen a building like that before. And growing up, learning about it, and then seeing things on TV about some of the top beautiful best architecture in the country, and he's listed on there for different houses and buildings, and just knowing that something like that's here, and all the stuff they do for our youth here in the community with the arts, you don't find that a lot of places.
I remember seeing the tower in Architectural Magazine when I was young. I was like, that is so cool. And when I moved here, I was like, it's here. Oh my gosh, I was blown away. Children can go there and see that. That's within their reach. They can do that themselves. You can dream big, and it can happen.
And having something like the Price Tower, this architectural marvel from Frank Lloyd Wright, it offers the opportunity for those kids who are interested in these things to come and see something like this, something that's so unique in person, and to experience that for themselves.
And for me, I relate it back to, it's about hope, right? It's about the promise of success no matter where you're from. So Reservation Dogs relates to, opportunity and the ability to achieve greatness, with your community and within your tribe, whatever that may be, and the ability to reach for more, right? And the Price Tower is this amazing, iconic architectural skyscraper in the middle of small town America, in the center of Oklahoma. So what better things than to remind us that no matter who you are, and no matter where you're from, you've got something to aspire to, and you've got things that give you hope around you.
And you can achieve greatness.
You can achieve greatness.